Get instant news and information.
Flowers are sent. Now let's access the online travel service.
How long have you had this?
About a week. Plane tickets are ordered. Now, let's look up dinosaurs. What do you think? Compton's Encyclopedia or National Geographic?
You get all that with America Online?
Yeah, you can read Business Week online before it hits the newsstand. You know, I can even send email on the internet. And of course, there's my personal favorite, live chat. That's how I met my new kayaking buddies. We'll check that out later, after the game.
What's up, guys? It's Benny. President Trump said today at the White House that the Epstein files has backfired massively on the left, and they're about to retreat on the issue because they keep losing their biggest donors and their biggest politicians, whether that's Bill Gates, Reid Hoffman, or Bill Clinton. It's hitting back on them because of Bill Clinton. It's turning out to be the Democrats who conspired with Epstein. You're going to see a pullback from them now, says President Trump today. This is after President Trump promised to sue people who lied about him, beginning with Trevor Noah last night at the Grammys. And, well, right on cue, literally hours after Donald Trump says this in the White House, the Clintons agree to testify before Congress. Now, the Clintons had refused to testify before Congress on Jeffrey Epstein. They said that Congress was just engaging in a witch hunt and that they weren't going to be playing ball. They were going to go into contempt of Congress votes, and that vote ended up being very bad for the Clintons. About a dozen Democrats voted to hold them in contempt on this very small committee. And so what that looks like is that they will guaranteed be held in contempt of Congress. And that means they could well be put in prison. You could serve 6 months in jail like Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro did. The Clintons would be going to jail. The Clintons would be going to jail. This is Donald Trump's biggest campaign promise. I'd put you in jail. His oldest campaign promise, because you'd be in jail. And Trump was about to do it. And now the Clintons have bent the knee to Republicans. They will now testify about Jeffrey Epstein. This is going to be a wild one. Check this out. The Clintons, this is from Jamie Comer, who is on the Oversight Committee, who has been subpoenaing the Clintons, again, told him to F off. And now, after the release of all of the files, which are damning to Bill Clinton and many of Bill Clinton's closest friends, they said, nope, you win. We lose. Let's testify. Do it live before Congress. The Clintons' counsel has said they agreed to terms, but those terms lack clarity yet again. They provided no dates for their depositions. Clarify the terms which they're agreeing to and discuss the next step with my committee members. So James Comer says the Bill and Hillary Clinton have agreed to testify before the House Oversight Committee as part of the investigation into Jeffrey Epstein, just one day before they faced being held in contempt of Congress. Just perfect. I mean, just perfect timing for them. Just in time for Bill Clinton to be, well, photographed in a hot tub with one of the Jeffrey Epstein victims, or have Jeffrey Epstein's victims constantly on his arm or on his lap, Jeffrey Epstein's plane. By the way, this trip, very interesting little trip, this one. This was when Jeffrey Epstein flew Bill Clinton all around the world with young girls. And how do we know this? Why do we know this? Well, because one of the men who were on that trip, a very, very famous man, by the way, a famous actor. We know now that George Clooney was all wrapped up in the Jay-Z's name is in the Epstein files and so on. Jeffrey Epstein constantly reaching out to Hollywood actors and celebrities. Kevin Spacey was on this trip. Kevin Spacey, at the height of his fame, went with Bill Clinton on this fact-finding, I'm sure that's what they were finding, trip to Africa. And Spacey says, yeah, you don't understand. There were all these young girls there, and they put Bill Clinton in a really bad situation.
Fortunate that President Clinton introduced me a lot of business leaders in London because he knew I was coming to the Old Vic. Do you know who I never asked for anything? Was Jeffrey Epstein. I didn't want to be around this guy because I felt he put the president at risk on that trip to South Africa because there were these young girls. And we were like, what? Who is this guy? So I will say this.
There were young girls on those flights?
There were young girls on those flights, yeah.
There were young girls on the plane. There were these young girls on the plane. And now Bill Clinton is going to have to answer for what he did with those young girls. Bill and Hillary Clinton agreed to testify before Congress. It's a stunning change of heart from the former first couple. The contempt vote loomed. It says here that they could have very well gone to prison over this. A remarkable reversal for the former president and secretary of state, who were adamant that they would defy the committee's subpoenas and risk imprisonment for the Justice Department. And now it turns out their bluff has been called. This is amazing. You never see the Clintons back down like this. This is incredible. What a sea change of power. After both skipped the scheduled depositions earlier in the year, the Oversight Committee voted to hold them in contempt. Dozens of Democrats voted to hold the Clintons in contempt. dude. Although both have said that they had no knowledge of Epstein's crimes, they maintain that their subpoenas were not tied to legitimate legislative purpose, rendering them invalid. The complaint GOP-led exercise designated to embarrass them and put them in jail. Well, it was about to. You have no understanding at all of what Jeffrey Epstein was doing. Now, I don't know if this woman is wearing clothes or not. I know that Bill Clinton is sitting here in a hot tub like this, and that's one of the Epstein victims there in the hot tub with him. So what are you doing there exactly, Bill? Anybody? Anyone? Bill and Hillary Clinton cave. They will be testifying before Congress. Goodness gracious. What are you going to ask them? Because they never get asked about this at all. They've never been asked. Bill and Hillary Clinton agreed to testify. This is the greatest timeline. Doesn't Bill have a history of lying under oath about women he banged that are not Hillary? Released the Epstein files. Honey, WTF, incoming. This should be interesting. Please live stream it. Who'll be asking the questions? Don't get your hopes up. Why? Because Washington, D.C. is involved too. Yeah. Ask the right questions. This is critical. Oh, well, I'm glad they agreed to do what they are legally bound to do. Just a reminder, President Trump, of course, started his career by telling us that Bill Clinton was dirty as hell on Epstein Island. This is one of Trump's first speeches.
Got a lot of problems coming up, in my opinion, with the famous island with Jeffrey Epstein. A lot of problems.
Trump then followed that up by saying that Prince Andrew, also dirty as hell, before anybody knew about Jeffrey Epstein.
Well, I think he's got a problem. I mean, what do you think the problem will be? I don't know, but that island was really a cesspool. There's no question about it. Just ask Prince Andrew. He'll tell you about it. The island was an absolute cesspool.
And then, of course, whenever the one time that Bill Clinton was asked about this, he gave the guy the death stare.
Any comments on the alleged allegation of your connection with Jeffrey Epstein? No.
Well, if the evidence, and then Bill Clinton looks back at the guy. I love that. If the evidence does speak for itself, why are you scared of answering the question? Why do you have to have your little handler, which, by the way, is Bill Clinton's chief of staff here in the black beard, the little guy in the beard, little gremlin in the beard? Why do you have to have the handler come rushing in to try and save your boss? And speaking of rushing in,
you want somebody who's going to get up
this is what happened
day.
When Hillary Clinton was asked.
Why's your husband visit Epstein Island 26 times?
This is Alex Rosen getting dragged out by like 5 security guards, dragged by his shirt ripped off, and drug out of the arena, and surrounded by maybe 6, 7 security guards for asking about Jeffrey Epstein. So we hope this doesn't happen to members of Congress when they ask about Jeffrey Epstein. Please, I beg of you, televise it, because as we've heard for years, I had everything. I had Clinton, I had Epstein, I had everything. We want to know the truth. The truth is out there, and the Clintons have given up. Given up. Bent the knee. It's amazing. It's your boy Benny. Like, share, and subscribe. See ya.